Welcome to How the Blank, presented by What the Blank, and today is How the Media Censorship.
Dude, I'm getting fed up with all that stuff.
I'm getting fed up with not being allowed to be fed up.
There you go.
Today, we're kind of talking about how, there's a lot more censorships, there's a lot more, copyrights in the world, and there's a lot more just, media cannot be used, unless it has a certain guidelines. There's always more and more rules, right? And so we just kind of wanted to talk about that in the entertainment world and how it actually blocks a lot of creativity in both videos and also in even stage performances, even music. So we wanted to talk about that and talk about how some of the algorithms kind of prevent that and also make it worse.
Well, think about this. I mean, it's even just a huge thing because it even can block whole careers that people could have. Because, think about all the people, like journalists, celebrities, comedy artists, and, just all these other people, they say one wrong thing that they don't even think twice about. They just kind of say it, and then all of a sudden the whole internet is shutting them down. They're getting censored for things. They're being, cut out of different programs. You can't post YouTube videos anymore. I mean, dude, think about what happened to Dave Chappelle a few years back. You remember his Netflix special he was talking about, and he had the whole tranny thing and everything like that in there, and people went crazy about it.
Attention, atomic core set to overload.
My bad.
He got censored on all sorts of platforms because of that stuff. And his career took a tank for a little bit. Even though there was a lot of support still for him on the other side, he still ended up getting, whipped for that. And Joe Rogan's new comedy special that he put out on Netflix, I think it's called Burn the Boats. He put that out, and people are because he was talking about when CNN was trying to censor the things that he was saying, especially during COVID. When he was taking ivermectin and all these things, and they were saying, oh, well, you can't take horse dewormer and all this other stuff. And it was just kind of interesting for him to talk about all that stuff during his comedy special. He made it a good joke, though. He turned it into a good show. But, just hearing all the different things that some people go through when they're being censored online or on TV or anything like that, you can tell, it really takes a toll on their career and on their mental space.
Wow.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, that definitely fits in cancel culture. I feel like that's not even just copyrights and stuff. That's just people doing it. I don't know. I feel like it's a hobby for some people to be cancel culture. They have to get on the next movement because it's the next trend,
Yeah.
And that just
I agree.
That just reminds me of TikTok with where you can't say certain words now. There's certain things that have to do with anything with unaliving. You have to change things to be censor friendly, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to refer to pew-pews and you can't even say natural body functions on there or it will be censored. See, I'm censoring myself talking about it so that we don't get uncensored, right?
I was just going to point that out. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of funny too. I mean, but it's what you have to do now. You can't just get online and start saying what your mind really wants to say, because people get mad about that stuff, and then they cancel you all over the place. You get censored, and yeah, I mean, people lose jobs because of that stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, it's not just people anymore either. Not just random people on companies now. It's we can make our own media rules. And some companies, they even have the little waivers where they watch you on social media. So with the getting fired thing, they tell you basically how to present yourself online, and that I think that's going way too far.
I'm watching you, Wazowski. Always watching.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. I mean, it even like with YouTube especially, because I mean, I get it, like the whole copyright laws and everything like that. Like, yeah, I mean, but it's just kind of weird because like other YouTubers can get away with posting, short form videos of other people's content and everything. And really the only thing that they're doing is just adding in their names and stuff like that. And a lot of them don't get censored. A lot of them don't get blocked. A lot of them don't, get a slap on the wrist even. But smaller YouTubers who don't really have much of a name, like you end up posting, I don't know, for example, let's say you end up posting like 5 seconds of a music video, and you talk about that music video or that artist or whatever for like 5 seconds or 10 seconds or whatever. And even if you put their name in there, if you're a small YouTuber, you're going to get a slap on the wrist for that. You're going to get a strike on that, and it's just kind of weird how it's like you can post certain things, but other people can, and you're not allowed to, pretty much. You know what I mean? Like it happens with small YouTubers all the time. Yeah, but it happens all the time, and that's what frustrates me. Is like you can post all sorts of things you want online, but the moment that you end up posting one little tiny thing, if that company doesn't like what you say, or that whatever it is doesn't like what you say about it, I mean, you're gonna get a big old slap on the booty.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
and a lot of the times it's the big companies that are just like, nope, you can't use it. Like, even though it benefits their company because it gets their media out there better, and then people are like, oh, I want to watch that whole movie now, right? Like, like I've noticed it with, especially with music, like copyrighted music. Oh my goodness, like you get so many slaps on the wrist for that. Even in just a lot of videos and different stuff, like especially anything that has to do with Marvel, with Disney, with anything that related, like even if you're not fully posting it yet, like I have some videos on my like old YouTube that I had back with me, like showing Disneyland around back when I was in high school, and I got copyright stricken for the music. And it's like, take the music out of your video. I'm like, so you want me to take out my voice and everything? Like I couldn't control the music that was in there.
You brought this on yourself.
Right? So I think it's funny that that like, I don't know, they have all this power, and yes, it's good because it gets them money and gets them stuff, and yes, you don't want anyone to steal your stuff. We understand that. We don't want our stuff stolen either, right? But I also think, to quote Care Bears, sharing is caring. No, just kidding.
Um,
Tell them that is, Braxton.
But what's crazy is like it can go even like farther. Like there was this incident that happened around last Christmas time. One of my friends is a streamer, and he does like things with like video games and stuff. And so he was recording something for YouTube, right? And it was fine on Twitch, but when he uploaded it to YouTube, he got it taken down because he had a custom intro song made, and he did the song for himself, and he got it like published on Spotify and all that, but like with his rights and stuff. And so he did his own intro, and YouTube said that it was copywritten and that he didn't have the permission. And so when he tried to dispute it, saying it was his own material, he couldn't even manage to present himself the point where he owned the song, and he still can't use that song for his own video that he wrote.
Wow.
And so like that's kind of going a step farther. Like some people, there's so many steps to publishing music, like a lot. But even though he was the publisher and the writer for it, he can't use his video because he can't prove it to YouTube from his computer.
You know what's crazy about that is like, because dude, I've been looking into like the copyrights for music and everything, and publishing and all that stuff. And what's really crazy about it is, like, let's say you go to a producer who uses a lot of samples, for example, right? And samples are the sound bites that are created by other creators for producers and artists to use to make their production a lot more efficient. So you can use those things as long as you pay for them. You can use them for whatever you want. If you want to have a song starter, if you want to have like a random sample in there, if you want to have a sound effect, whatever it is, you can have those, because if you pay for it, it's yours, unless it's just put in there as a free use thing. So you can use these things and have them either set up for free use for anybody to use, or you can have it set up where people just pay you for it and then you can use it freely. And what happens to a lot of these guys is, I'm not saying that this is what your friend did, because I doubt he did this, but what happens sometimes is people end up finding samples online, and they'll use it under the premise that it's a free use copyright. And what happens is it's actually not, and they don't know that. And they end up using it in a track, and turns out, oh, it's actually copyrighted. You're supposed to pay for that. But you got it off of YouTube for free because you thought it was for free, but you had to pay for it. And now you're getting a copyright strike because the guy who owns it knows you didn't pay for it. And so he's gonna find you and copyright it and say, hey, sorry, but this was already my work. You didn't pay me for it. This isn't free use. And then YouTube comes in and shuts it down. And that's what happens all the time to a lot of people, especially small creators who like to use those things a lot. You know, it's just one of those things.
So would that be like copyright trap? Would you say, like, what do you think anyone does this on purpose? You know, like,
dude, there are some people that do this on purpose, I'm sure. I can't really say too much about that though, just because sure, I mean, you might be able to get a financial gain out of it if it happens enough. But to be honest, I just don't think it's really worth most people to even do that on purpose, just to pull like a little I gotcha. It just, I don't know. I mean, it just wouldn't really make much sense to me, but I can see some people doing that intentionally. But there are sites out there where you can go to, like for Splice, for example, with Splice, you can go on there and pay a monthly fee, and you can use credits as a way to pay for all of those samples that you can use, or all of those sound effects, all those little sound bites or whatever. So you can just pay like little credits here and there for every single song. So technically you're paying for it, and you're transacting a thing saying, hey, I'm buying this from you and I'm going to use this for my project. And they're agreeing that I'm going to sell it to you so you can use it for your project. That's basically what that means. And so using sites like that, you're doing it a legal way. And so you're doing it in a way that you can still get around those copyright issues, and you can still use it for what you want. And then you can even profit off of it later on because you still made that agreement to buy it. But some people just don't do that. And that's kind of where the issue resolves around, is especially if you go on YouTube and find a beat for free, even if it says free beat, it's not, because you can go and find it on like BeatStars or something, for example, for $25. So guess what that means? The guy's copyrighted it and he's selling it. So that means if you use it on YouTube for free, even though it says free, you're going to get in trouble.
And there's absolutely nothing you can do about it.
It's the weirdest thing, but it happens all the time.
Interesting.
Yeah. That shows how often things are pirated, though, like just continuously. But no, he did his in like a small studio, and it was just like a guitar riff and some piano from like an electronic keyboard. And he did it himself, where he published it on Spotify so no one else would use it. So he wanted it specifically just for like his brand for the gaming channel. And then when he got copyright stricken, they knew the song, they knew the producer, but he couldn't prove that that was him. And that's where he got like in this loophole, and then he couldn't even use the own thing he made.
What's really weird about it too is I know a lot of these systems use AI now to determine what song is what, and a lot of times it uses a system that's not 100% accurate. So what this might mean is, like, let's say your friend made a song that sounds eerily similar to somebody else's song that's already been copyrighted. So the system goes, oh, this is this song because it sounds like it, so therefore it's copywritten. That means he can't use it because technically he didn't pay for it. So that can cause an issue too. I don't know 100% if that's the case, but it might be. You know, maybe that song sounds really, really similar to something else that's already been out there and it's already been copywritten. He's going to get a strike for it, even if he's the one that created that song from scratch.
Ooh.
It's the weirdest thing, dude.
This reminds me of the whole like Ed Sheeran lawsuit thing that happened a few years ago, where he was writing a song and it was the same chord progression, as another song. So the guy was suing Ed Sheeran for it, and it was like, but they're completely different songs. They may have the same chords in them, but like they're not the same song. And I think Ed Sheeran just got a fine off of it. I'll have to look it up, but it was crazy. Like I think it's really crazy how much like copyright and how, I don't know, we're making it too much of a focus, right? I think there are things that should be copyrighted, that should be protected, but I also think, like, if you're going to like copyright like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, or like boom 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 boom, like, or something, like just like playing like little tune like exactly on a piano that's so simple that anyone could do, like, I think that's a little bit too far.
You know what? I play what I want. Copyright shit went out with a zoom.
Yeah, there really is a fine line that goes along with it, because it's just one of those things where it's like you fly a little too close to the sun and you're going to get yourself a good old slap on the wrist. So it's like where do you find that gray zone? You know what I mean? Where do you find that little spot where you're okay to use something that sounds really close to this other thing without getting yourself in trouble? You know, it's like it's almost impossible to find that line at this point, because it's become so faded. You know, like it's just blending into the same thing now, where people can create something that sounds really, really similar to something else. And it's so weird, because like you even see these songs that are out there, like, for example, All Girls Are the Same by Juice WRLD, right? That song was huge. And then a couple years later, you start seeing a lot of those same songs that are being slowed and reverb, and those aren't being copywritten. But I don't know if they're being monetized off of, which is weird. So I don't know, like maybe as long as you're not profiting off of it, maybe you're okay.
Yeah, but like smaller YouTubers aren't profiting though, too. We get copyright striked a lot and different stuff like that. So like, not just we. I'm saying like we as a general like type of thing.
No. Something interesting, because we did get our first copyright strike just recently this season, and I learned something very interesting that I never thought about before. Is that we did a music review video where we found the cringiest music videos that we thought, and we only showed like 15 seconds max of each video, right? But not only was we getting hit with a strike for the music, we got hit with a strike for the choreography in the video. The actual video itself was copyrighted separately from the music, which is kind of interesting to think about, that the music video is owned by somebody else than the music playing. So that was like a double thing.
It's weird, because they have two separate companies that do it. They have the one company that produces the music, and then they have the other company that does the video. And so they both have to get separate copyrights for that to make sense. And because you don't have a music production studio creating music videos, that just doesn't work like that. And so you have these two separate copyrights that you have to get around both of them, and you have to get both of their permission. And if you get into like movies and stuff like that, you have to get permission by everybody that has a copyright on anything: the writing team, the production team, the filming team, the yada yada yada, and everything else. So it's like it gets really crazy when you start getting into that kind of stuff. And music and just music videos alone is pretty simple, just because it only requires like 2 or 3 different copyrights. But it's still just one of those things that it's like now it's getting really weird, because it's hard to find that fine line where you're okay to use that stuff and not get in trouble for it.
Well, and something that's really interesting is, so a big thing on YouTube right now has actually been watching TV shows and reacting to them, right? And those have copyrights too, but they're not copywritten through YouTube and stuff. So as long as you have your face and you like quote what the show is from, and like, it's completely fine. But with music videos, it's the complete opposite. So I'm wondering like where that line is, and just how to like so many people get around it. Like there, because I know a lot of people that review like epic rap battles of history or like different stuff as like history teachers and different stuff like reviewing music videos from like the 80s all the way to now, right? Like I've seen a lot of those videos and I'm like wondering how are these not copyright strikes? And so I think it's really interesting how things have changed so much where like do you remember like old YouTube videos had so many songs, like everyone was kung fu fighting, right? Even
Oh yeah.
like they had all these things, but now if you did the same exact thing, it would be copywritten like up and left and right, and you couldn't upload the video. And so I think it's so funny how like that used to be our culture that we would take other people's creations to enhance our own, not to create our own, but to enhance. Right? I think we can use other people's stuff to enhance, but I don't think we should ever steal. Right? I think that's where the line should be, where you're just re-uploading. Like, because on TikTok, that's what people do. They just re-upload movies on TikTok, and 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 so a lot of companies are trying to like stop that and everything, and so it's just this whole thing where it's like people are fighting against it. So so I really think there should be a fine line. If it's stealing the content and you're not adding anything to that content, that should be a copyright strike. But if you are using that to enhance your own thing and it's not the main part of your thing, I think it's fine. Right? Like how we add memes to every single video.
Yeah. Which, I mean, those seem to be fine. We don't get any strikes for those so far. But what also gets me is like you hear in interviews sometimes where people will be like, the artist itself likes it, right? But the artist doesn't get the entire say. It's a bunch of people who may or may not have even ever met the artist, but they own it. And so you have these layers upon layers, like a cake of people who just all have to agree in unison, right? And if one person says no, then the answer is no. But like there has to be like 7 yeses for it to go through. And like that's where it's like this is getting crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even think about like what Braxton was just saying with the TikTok movies and stuff like that. Like, dude, even YouTube Shorts has kind of the same thing where people will post up snippets of movies or TV shows or anything like that, and the way that they get around it is by putting background music in the background, and then they either talk about it and have like the AI voice go over it and just kind of talk about what's happening in the scenes, so they don't have like the actual audio from the movie, or they just put the whole audio in there and just put a background sound in there, and they only make the videos less than a minute.
What's wrong with you? What's wrong with y'all?
And they can get around that, and it's the weirdest thing because I haven't seen any of those channels or any of those videos get taken down yet. You know, and I've gone back to like even some of the channels that I've seen post like movies and stuff, and they just do it like minute by minute basis. And I've gone back to their channels and I've looked at them, and they have whole ass movies put in there, and it's like you can watch the entire movie just by scrolling, and they're not being taken down or anything. It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah, I think this is kind of like where we're getting into the deep worms of it, you know, like where it's like we're opening this can of worms of just all the nasty stuff of it, right? But I wanted to kind of end it with what we think we can do as an entertainment company to change these things and to enhance media going forward. How do you think we can make a change?
definitely have to give more power to the artist. Like, don't be the controlling parent over them and dispute it amongst your aunts and uncles to make the decisions for them. Like, they have to have, like, the company needs to have control of what the company owns, but the artist also needs to own a lot of their own stuff too. And that's kind of where we were
Yeah.
different, is we never tried to like own somebody. We just helped get them up a little bit higher, right? And I think that's a big step, and not very many people are doing that.
Well, where I'm from, that's called slavery.
Yeah, and I agree with that 100% because that's like the biggest thing, especially with the music department and what I want to be able to do and accomplish with everything is like, even if I were to start up my own record label or anything like that, like I'm not going to force any of my team to do something that they don't necessarily want to do or go through with or anything like that, like a lot of these other bigger labels do. Like the big thing that I want to be able to see in the future with change and growth and everything is I want to see the artists be in charge of what they want to do, how they want to do it, you know, where and when, and, you know, all this other stuff. Like I want them to be in charge of their own projects because it really is their creative outlet. Like mine is just being behind the computer, behind the scenes, doing my job. That's it. I don't have any reason to control somebody's actions or somebody's music or anything like that. Like, yeah, sure, it'd be nice to get some royalties on the back end, and get paid for my work, but other than that, it's like I'm not looking to, you know, have somebody create a song that I want them to create and then take most of what they earn from it. Like that's not how it should work. It's like, yeah, if it's my project and I feature somebody on it, that's different. But if it's their project and they want me to work on it with them, that's a whole different ballgame because I can't be the person who decides how much we split it and all this other stuff. Like that's up to what they want to do. You know what I mean? So it's a much different thing nowadays. But yeah, that's the kind of change that I want to be able to see is with the people who want to be part of this, have them have the majority of the say in it.
Yeah, and I think we miss a lot of the connections that used to come from music and collaborating and stuff, and now collaborating has kind of become a chore. You know, I've noticed, like, because my people have to talk to your people so that we can figure out if it works good enough. Like even with doing live theater on a stage, you have to collaborate with the owner, and then the owner has to give the thumbs up. But if the production manager doesn't give the thumbs up, I guess it's over, right? Like, I just wish, and I get it, right? Because like, if everyone's not on the same page, it makes a sloppy a sloppy production, right? But everyone needs to be on the same page. But I think we need less hoops, if that makes sense. I think we need one person in charge, or like get it to be more streamlined instead of you have to go to this person and then go to that person and then go to that person and then go to these 12 people before you can get a yes, right? Well, like I could see 3 steps. I think 3 steps is streamlining it, right? But
you still have to have safety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as you're covering safety, covering the rights, and covering the people, I think then you're good. You know, not covering like 80 different things. Because I remember in college, they would ask people that it wouldn't affect at all, and they would say no, and then you couldn't do it, right? Like that's what happened to me when I was trying to direct a show. I was I had the thumbs down by someone who wasn't even going to help out, and it's like,
that's
why?
so dumb.
Yeah, like, and this tends to happen in bigger companies that we don't know about because it's all behind the scenes and secretive. So I think going forward, I think we, as an entertainment company, I want to streamline it, right? I want to make things easier for everyone.
I agree.
So
I agree 100%.
I think as entertainment and business as a whole, I think, like Gregson said, there's 3 hoops, and I think that's legal, financial, and creative. And we have to make those merge. so that everything's all good and dandy. But I think, there's a little bit too many layers in the onion, and now nobody can get anything without crying about it because onions make you cry.
So do ogres.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that 100%.
Ogres are like onions. There you go. Copyright strike right there.
Yeah.
Thanks, Braxton.
Dang it, Braxton. You're going to get us canceled.
By Disney when it was a Pixar show or a DreamWorks show.
Yeah, we're going to get copyright strike from Disney. Can you imagine, dude? Oh my gosh.
They didn't have anything to do with it.
Dude, Disney's just out here copywriting everything right now because they own everything, dude. It's crazy.
I'm gonna start saying we got Disneyed.
We got Disney.
even though we haven't ever got Disneyed yet, but I'm gonna start saying it because it's a good meme.
Nice. Just watch this video get a copyright strike, dude.
I know.
Just because we're talking about it. YouTube's gonna be like, nah. We'll be like, what? That's crazy.
I do pledge never to reveal what I receive in confidence here.
That would be crazy.
Yeah.
You're gonna be like, you're canceled, your mom's canceled, grandma's canceled, and your dog's canceled.
And don't forget O.J. Simpson. He's also canceled.
But keep them trending. It's good for analytics.
Well, thanks for watching, guys. This was How the Media Censorship.
And if we get censored here, you can guarantee we'll get censored everywhere else. But you can still check us out on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and Spotify. So come and see all the censorship.
And please make sure to go to our website if you want to collab in the future. We've always got everything going. We're getting the music department set back up, and so we can start working with all sorts of different things.
All right.
Look like you're about to pray.
Pray to the censorship gods.
Pray we don't get censored again.
Pray to Lord YouTube that we do not.
Hallowed be thy blockage. Let thy fear the video.